Hello. Ah, thank you for the check-ins. Okay, let's see. Okay, I have questions. I have questions to answer. My favorite thing to do. Ah, chibi. Yes. Well, because I said I would do the chibi version, and also because I'm not. This is to emphasize that my answers for these questions are not serious answers. They're like semi-serious answers. Oh. The tissue. Oh, can I somewhere add my own question? Yes. Oh, wait, no. 2 L's. Sorry, it's 2 L's. Oh, okay. Yes. Let me actually, I need to retweet the tweet from my account. Let's see. As a promo to be like, I'm doing this now. I'm streaming this now. Where is it? Okay.
What is psychosis?
What is psychosis? Wait, I answered this question last time. Psychosis, like, to put it simply, is like failure of reality testing is the way I would put it. Or like a failure of yeah, failure of reality testing, becoming detached from reality. Be that like through seeing things that aren't there, hearing things that aren't there, like your perceptions, you're having misperceptions that you're unable to correct. Or having delusions, which are more like mental misperceptions as opposed to stimuli misperceptions. Right? Because one crucial aspect of being a human being and being able to maintain a sense of reality is being able to do what we call reality testing, which is to say, I can take the sum of the information that I've been given and my understanding of like, how do I put this? And my understanding of like my framework for how reality works, the rules of reality and how people work and all these things, to be able to sort of like test my perceptions of the world, because we're going to make assumptions and have like faulty perceptions all the time, right? So the best example of like just basic reality testing that I have is like, we've all had that situation where we thought we heard someone say our name, but like no one actually said our name, right? So because we have intact reality testing though, we can go, oh, I thought I heard someone say my name. And then you turn and you look in the direction that you think that someone said your name. And then you realize no one's looking in my direction. No one's trying to get my attention. I don't see anyone that I know. Probably I just misheard something. I probably just heard something that like sounded similar enough that I thought it was my name, but it's not. And then you move on with your day, right? You correctly reality tested. I heard someone say my name, and then I correctly corrected that into actually no one said my name in reality, right? If you do not have intact reality testing, you cannot do that. So you will go, oh, I heard someone say my name. And then you will see like, oh, no one's looking in my direction. No one's trying to get my attention. It doesn't seem like anyone's trying to talk to me. And you'll be like, instead of the correct thing of, I actually think maybe no one was talking to me, you go, no, I heard someone say my name, which means someone did say my name. So the fact that I don't see anyone acting in a way that would be consistent with saying my name is actually, there's some other explanation, right? That's not that I misheard things. It's, I did hear someone say my name. Someone did say my name. It's, the FBI in the walls, or God, or someone's actually stalking me and they've hidden themselves, right? Like you come up with an explanation that means that your perception is reality. And that's psychosis. I wonder what the frequency of hallucinations is for a healthy individual. Oh, it's pretty frequent. Also, high five! Thank you for the first time chat over here. I think you were on YouTube last time, right? The other link wasn't working. Oh yeah, I forgot the @ Sorry. Hello, Big Sis. Hi, Kimi. It's the demons. Thank you, Sucho. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations are pretty normal. Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations are hallucinations that happen when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up, right? This doesn't really matter for anyone who's not a doctor. Hypnagogic is like you go to sleep, so they happen when you go to sleep. Hypnagogic, right? And then you just remember that hypnopompic is the other one. But yeah, because your brain gets all fuzzy when you're falling asleep, and so we all hallucinate things. Like you think you're falling when you're not falling. But yeah, no, the rate of hallucinations of like normal individuals is actually pretty high, because like there's so this is what I talk. This is something that I think is important. Also, I got signed Princeton today, by the way. Speaking of merch, you can get your own at !merch. Yes, I do have merch. I have merch. It's beautiful. You can look at it on these websites. I also made graphics for it. Oh, I was going to make a streamer bot thing where like if you this is really dumb, where if you did the merch thing, it would also pop up a little graphic so you could get a preview of what merch is available. Hulev. Hi, Sucho. Storm the Stormworm, thank you for your first time chat. My therapist had to go over that with me when I first started my therapy journey and explained hearing your name is the #1 hallucination that people have. Made me feel so comforted by that. I'm gonna send you more pharmacology questions. Please do. No, this is the thing, is that actually, like, we don't act on hallucinations and we don't act on delusions because we have all these corrective processes, right? A lot of the time, like some like mental illness and stuff, it's often like, it's not that something has gone super wrong fundamentally, it's that one of these corrective processes stopped working, right? It's kind of like cancer, like how cancer isn't necessarily like some external thing that's come in and taken over you, right? It's that the process of like DNA repair and replication, like the normal corrective biologic process has stopped working, and that leads to a problem. And that's true in a lot of different things, right? Like in psychosis, it's like we all have hallucination, we all have misperceptions, we all have things that you could even call like delusions at time, right? Like where you have like paranoia. We all get that sort of like paranoid, like, maybe that was a coincidence, or maybe insert superstitious thing, right? And like there's a point at which it crosses the threshold of not being real anymore. Right? The same thing for like OCD or whatever. It's like everyone has intrusive thoughts, right? We just all have like processes for managing the anxiety and the distress that comes from having intrusive thoughts. Is it normal to have ADHD? Well, is it normal for ADHD people to have full-on stories play out in their head? Because I can have a full roleplay story with characters, different mental voices, and a plot. I swear I'm not crazy. ADHD. I mean, I don't think that's related to ADHD. Because, like, internal monologuing and stuff is not necessarily related to ADHD, but that being said, I don't think that's necessarily wrong. Or, like, a sign of anything going wrong. How can I develop confidence with new or quick study methods for medical school? Ooh, wait, like, how do you develop confidence for medical school? Or how do you... like... How do you study for medical school? I mean, in my opinion, I feel like this is a controversial opinion among like medical students. I don't like Anki. I don't like flashcards personally. But you have to find the way that works for you. You have to find like the way that to study that works for you personally, and for me, I realized Anki and flashcards is not the way for me to study. Like, it doesn't work for me. I don't like it. I don't like it, and I don't think it's helpful. For me, personally. I also don't like Sketchy. Like, Sketchy is more confusing to me. As in, like, I only watched one Sketchy video. Okay, so Sketchy, for people who don't know, is a study material for, mostly for medicine, where they take a topic and they sort of break it down into a visual aid, right? So they'll be like, so for you, to help you remember all the different side effects of this medication, remember this particular scenario. This person is next to a pipe and they're smoking, which means that blah, 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 and this is how you remember this thing. I don't find that helpful. I only ever watched one Sketchy video. I only ever watched one Sketchy video. It was like, remember the muscarinic receptors with these motorcycles or whatever. And I watched it like 4 times and I still don't remember anything about it other than that there were 3 motorcycles. And like I don't remember anything about muscarinic receptors. You know? So like, that's just not how my brain works. So it doesn't help. And so that's my biggest piece of advice, is like, figure out what works for you. Not what feels like it works or what like makes you feel like you're being productive, but you know. Oh my god. I'm being smothered by an enormous hand. But you figure out what works for you. And for me personally, I think doing a lot of practice questions works. Because, and this is my problem with Anki. My problem with Anki is that it's a lot of like one-off facts that are not like connected to a larger structure of knowledge, right? That's my problem. I feel like you will remember things if you understand them. And to understand them, you need to have like a foundational understanding, I guess, of like processes and how things fit together. Okay, let's see. I missed the... Like, if I study inefficiently by copying notes and writing by hand, blah, blah, how can I ditch it for something quicker, like reading out loud? I don't know. Sorry for being incoherent. Oh, okay. This is my advice. The best way to learn something is to have to work it in your brain. Like, you have to be doing something actively with your brain, right? And copy anything that's like strictly copying. If you're copying notes, if you are just copying and like typing out what your lecturer says, that's not, you're not like working the material in your brain, right? You need to actually use it. So use it. That's what's helpful for me. That's why practice questions. I just did a shit ton of practice questions, right? Do practice questions and then Like, honestly, the thing that worked best for me is just like it's time consuming and it was annoying, so I didn't ever end up doing it. But like, try to like learn, consume the information however it makes sense to you, right? I needed to sort of like kind of take notes, not because the note taking helped me learn, but because it helped me listen, because I have ADHD, otherwise I'd fall asleep in class, right? You listen to the class, and then after, you just write down or try to visualize, however makes sense to you. For me, I did a lot of flow charts and a lot of like representative diagrams and stuff of like, this relates to this in this way, and when this does this, that does that, you know? And like, this is how I understand it. I love metaphors. I use metaphors all the time at work, and it helps me a lot. So like, for example, when I was learning about the lungs, I was like, okay, it's like a balloon in a jar, or it's like a balloon in another balloon, and like that made sense to me. Didn't necessarily make sense to other people, but you figure out what makes sense to you, right? And you have to like make it yourself, otherwise it's not useful. Honestly, you know what's something that I'll say, this as a TA, okay? I was a TA for high school seniors and for college classes, and let me tell you, when your professor tells you you can bring in one page of notes, it's a way to try to get you to actually study, right? The act of distill everything from this semester into one page is studying. That's active learning. That's studying, right? So like, even for classes where like you couldn't bring notes in, I like figured that out, and so I just started doing that, right? Which is like, how do I distill everything into like, these are the foundational concepts. What is my tree of knowledge and understanding that I can then hang little things off of, right? Because if you learn something new, like a new fact, and you can link it back to an entire body of knowledge that you already have, you're much more likely to remember it and understand it. Thank you! Oh, you're welcome! And thank you for joining us on YouTube. Hossa? I've interfaced with Sketchy and I'm not a medical person. Oh, interesting. I didn't actually know that. I guess that kind of makes sense, because like, we're not the only people who need to know these things. I just like sort of imagine that other fields in STEM aren't as obsessed with testing as we are in medicine. I'm eating, sorry. Does nicotine help with focus? It can. It's kind of a stimulant. That's why it's also an appetite suppressant. You know, I'm not condoning the use of nicotine, but sorry, I'm eating. I'm hungry. Okay, a brief aside about smoking. So, nicotine is addictive, right? Nicotine is addictive, and that's part of why it is so hard to quit smoking. However, it's a lot more like psychological and behavioral than people think, right? I think it's important, especially when it comes to like managing anything that's like changing a behavior, right? Be that addiction or not addiction, right? It's like, you have to acknowledge that like, you are a human being, and if you're doing something, it's because it does something for you, even if the net effect is bad, right? So like for smoking, for example, like everyone knows that smoking can cause lung cancer. Like everyone knows that. And yet people do it anyway, right? Because it still does something for them, usually in the short term, but it still does something for them, right? Sometimes it's, it gives them a chance to take a break, right? A smoking break is like a scheduled, like every it's honestly like a biological clock, right? Of like, every hour, 2 hours, I get up and go outside to take a smoke. Honestly, it's like a craving induced Apple Watch like stand up every hour thing, right? So that's one thing that can really help people. Having that, like, I get to take a break, I take my mind off of things, it's meditative, you can't really like it's a social thing too, like if other people are smoking. The other thing that smoking can sorry, I'm like eating tortilla chips and choking on tortilla chips. The other thing, so smoking is a stimulant, helps people focus, and it can also be an appetite suppressant, right? And those are all things that are like really annoying for people. Right? And so like when someone stops smoking, they're like, oh, I have no reason to like get up or go out, and I'm socializing less, and I feel like slower and tired, and I feel hungrier all the time, and I'm eating more, and I've gained weight. It's like all these things, you know? And that's besides the fact that nicotine itself is expensive. Sorry, it's addictive. So you have to come up with things to like replace that. Right? This is like a fundamental concept in psychiatry. Bad coping behaviors are still coping behaviors. You can't just remove a bad coping behavior without having something to replace it with, you know? Like, has anyone else watched Peaky Blinders? Spoiler for Peaky Blinders. There's a character that has really bad PTSD. He copes with his really bad PTSD by staying extremely, extremely busy and in a high pressure, high adrenaline situation, high danger situation all the fucking time. His life slows down. His life is no longer in danger. His family is no longer in danger, and he fucking loses his mind because that was his way of coping. It was not a great way of coping, but it was still a way of coping, and once he took it away, he like couldn't handle it. So then obviously he didn't have a better way of coping, so he went back to, you know, I'm constantly in danger of being murdered, so I did watch Peaky Blinders. It's good, isn't it? I love Peaky Blinders. Hi Liv, I hope you're well. I'm good. There's a halt model for triggers. Check if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Usually those are triggers. Those are also things like avoiding reminders, like places. Yeah. Because a lot of it is behavioral. Oh. I dropped a crumb. Not dying on tortilla chips. I don't want to die on tortilla chips. Lev, I asked a question. Okay. I will go to the questions. Back when I was in college, I used to weaponize my spiky memory. I would find ways to make information fun or related to my hyperfixation, so it would be put into my long-term memory since disorders give me a poor working memory. Are you me? Are you me? Because yeah, pretty much. I mean, this is why like you make things interesting in the way that it works for you, right? Like, so for me, having really nice notebooks and paper was like motivation to study. I started Bachelor for Psychology, so I was a little curious. Ooh, hello. I wish I studied psychology in college. I didn't, but great show. I thought you were speaking about the sniper guy in the first season. He also had PTSD. I actually don't fully remember that. But yeah. That sounds familiar. I don't know. I have a terrible memory when it comes to like specifics of TV shows and like specifics of stories. That's why I'm not a great storyteller. I can't tell things linearly to save my life. Okay. I need to shrink myself. Put myself there. And ta-da! Okay. How does it feel to be, and Anon asks, how does it feel to be such a great what? VTuber and singer? It feels good. Also, I hope mine actually sent, because I sent it like a bit ago. If it doesn't, then we can always just resend it. It's not a big... Okay. Who sent this? How do I respond to this other than... I don't think that's true. It's season 5, Barney Thomas, and he had really shaky hands. Wait, which guy is that? I kind of remember who you're talking about, I think. Okay. I don't think that's true, but I am glad you think so. I love singing, and it makes me happy. And I love streaming. It makes me happy. Regardless if I'm good at it. What kind of questions can I ask? Anything that's largely appropriate. Yeah. The main thing is that I'm a psychiatrist, and so it would be good to ask questions related to that. What is your general opinion on tests, aka one for if you have ADHD? Okay, so my opinion on tests for ADHD, or tests for... Okay. I'm going to use this as a text box to answer this question. I love reminding Lev that she's 3 apples in a trench coat. I am not 3 apples in a trench coat. Ignore the question. I'm not answering that question. What are my thoughts on diagnostic tests? On tests to diagnose things like ADHD. Okay. If you take one thing away from this, right? If you take one thing away from today, I want you to take this away. Not all tests or quizzes are diagnostic. Right? Okay. So this not all tests or quizzes are diagnostic. By that I mean not all. Not every test or quiz that is used in a medical context is used to confirm or make an actual diagnosis. Most of them, especially ones that you can access as a layperson, are for screening. Screening and diagnosis are 2 different things, okay? Screening is, if we make every single person take this little quiz, hopefully, instead of having to do a full-on diagnostic workup for every single person that we see for every single possible thing that someone could have, you screen for things like depression or ADHD or autism, or right? Like, you take this quiz, it doesn't say you have ADHD. It says, based off of your answers to this, someone should talk to you about if you have ADHD and then actually do an assessment. Are for screening, right? Just because you test positive for a screening does not mean you have that diagnosis. Okay? It means it's probably more likely, or that, like, you should get tested, or you should talk to someone about it, but, like, it doesn't mean that you have it. Okay? Yes. So that's that. have that diagnosis. Okay, so there are like more diagnostic tests for ADHD. There's not that many. So okay, the problem with psychiatry is that there are not that many objective tests for things in general. Okay, and so that's why it's like very appealing to sort of go like, oh, I got this score, that means I have autism, or I got this score, that means I have ADHD. I get it. I've done that. I've been there, you know? Like, I've been the person that took the ASRS and went to my psychiatrist and was like, hey, I think I might have ADHD. And I'm saying this as a psychiatrist that just like, I heavily doubt my own feelings on myself because I know just how powerful the subconscious is. And so it's like, I might just be like tricking myself into thinking I have ADHD because I want to live in a world where my problems with getting work done are not because I'm lazy. Turns out maybe that's actually true, but I wasn't sure, you know? So in any case, I get it. It's nice to have. It's good to have like objective measures, but there really aren't any like actual objective measures in psychiatry. That's part of the problem. Anyways, well, that's what I think. I think that the problem is that a lot of this is the problem. A lot of people think that these quizzes that are meant to screen are actually diagnostic, but they're not. Okay? Like, as an example, it's the worst acronym in the world. There's a screening for depression called the PHQ-9. What does PHQ stand for? Patient Health Questionnaire. What does the 9 stand for? It has 9 questions. The Patient Health Questionnaire for 9 questions, with 9 questions. However, the PHQ-9 does you can imagine there's a million health questionnaires that could have 9 questions, but the PHQ-9 is specifically for depression. We just have agreed on that. In any case, the Patient Health Questionnaire with 9 questions is a screening test for depression. And it asks you questions like, in the last 2 weeks, how often have you felt like a burden to other people, or guilty, or having low mood, or feeling low energy, or not having an appetite, like the symptoms of depression, right? And if you get a high score on the PHQ-9, you have more symptoms that are consistent with depression, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a diagnosis of depression, because there's lots of things that can give you a high score that aren't actually MDD. Like, I had a horrible systemic septic illness and my leg got cut off and I've been in a hospital for 4 months. You can imagine that that person who maybe doesn't have a diagnosis of MDD could meet a lot of those criteria, right? Or for example, like this is something that I talked with someone about, like, oh, I'm at the end of my life and I'm having to depend on people for care because I can't move around the same way that I used to, and that's making me feel like a burden, and it's making me think about the future, and I've been very anxious and I can't sleep because of that. Like, screening means you should look deeper. It doesn't mean you have the diagnosis. Okay, that's that. What is the difference between psychiatry, therapy, and psychology? Okay. How do I put this? Okay. Psychiatry is specifically refers to the practice of mental health. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Girar Finton. Mental health care and or mental health care and behavioral health care provided by physicians, i.e. MD. Okay, like a colloquially, aka a doctor with a medical license. medical license in practice. This often means medical license that can prescribe and monitor medications or other preventions, such as my keyboard. Preventions such as electroconvulsive therapy or ketamine. This is so flipping cool. Hi, thank you for the first time chat. I'm glad you think so. Okay, so psychiatry is like mental health stuff from a doctor. In the context of being a doctor, a psychiatrist is a doctor that does mental health stuff, and because they're a doctor, they can prescribe medications, right? So therapy is the provision of how do you define therapy? Let's say like mental health care through like non-pharmacological means. So like talk therapy, talk therapy, like psychoanalysis, or skills building type therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, or group therapy, etc. It's mostly person to person talking and interaction and relationship building, and using that to treat mental health issues. Okay, that's therapy. So a psychiatrist can provide therapy and be called therapist. Not all therapists are psychiatrists. Okay, psychology is the academic field. Okay, psychology is just like a general term. A general academic term, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with providing healthcare. There are plenty of psychologists, people with an academic degree in psychology, who do not provide therapy. Though of course there are some who do. Right? So like people who do research are psychologists. Does this make sense? Therapists are psychiatrists. Often therapists are psychologists who have a PsyD or psychology, or licensed clinical social workers, etc. Okay, does this make sense? Does this answer the question? I hope it does. Yes? This one's also interesting to me because in my country we use slightly different. Oh, interesting. Okay. Caveat. This is from. Oh, thank you for the head pat. I love that my head pat is an enormous hand. I think it's very funny. Caveat. This is from my personal experience as a psychiatrist in America. In America. Or provide. Or provide. Mental health issues. ask my question here? You can. I can't guarantee I'll get to it. I want to try to get to these. Yeah, you can for sure ask your question here. I will try to remember it. And if it's like a short thing I can answer, I'll just answer it. But I might not like answer it. If you ask a question in chat, I can't like fully write out an answer like and post it. So it won't be permanent, but I might say something. Do you have any favorite stories from your time in psychiatry that made all of med school worth it? Yes, I do. Sorry. I just think it's very funny to take a question like this very literally and be like, yes. Moving on. I won't tell you what it is though. I'm trying to think, like, off the top of my head, definitely yes. Just like have so many possible examples. And I also don't want to do anything that's like super specific, right? But okay, I don't want to get super specific, but generally speaking, I will say I think one of the most fulfilling things about psychiatry, one of the most fulfilling experiences in psychiatry for me, has been working with people over the long term, and actually has been doing therapy. I really, really love doing. I think there's something very special about getting to know someone through. I fare thee well for my work of hydrating thee this time. Thank you for the hydration reminder. I will drink water. Okay. I have my answer. This is not specific. This is just general. One of the most rewarding things in psychiatry, I think, is being able to form a relationship with someone that you're caring for, and being able to help them understand parts of themselves and parts of their emotions that they couldn't understand before, and to be able to use that understanding to deal with difficult things in their life, to handle things that maybe they couldn't handle before, and to make changes, like to become like an active participant in their own life. Like that's what's the most rewarding, is when you talk to someone or you meet someone who will say like, I feel very stuck, I feel like bad things keep happening to me, or the same conflict keeps happening to me and I don't know why. I feel like I'm doing things or making decisions that don't make me happy, but I also don't know why I'm making those decisions, and I can't think of other decisions to make. Like, that's sort of like confusing stuckness, and being able to help someone get out of that and to get to a point where they're like, I've made big decisions about my life that maybe I will regret, maybe they won't turn out perfectly, but I've actually done something to move my life forward and to try to make myself happy, you know? So that's the most rewarding thing. Yeah. But of the most rewarding things in psychiatry is getting to work with someone over I think my keyboard is running out of battery, and that's why it's being weird. Over a extended period of time. Help them understand themselves, their emotions, their behavior, etc. And through that, see them grow as people and begin to take an active hand in their own life and in making their own happiness. Like, they're self-aware of their problems, but still stuck, so they get the help, and it feels rewarding seeing them becoming things. Yeah, kind of. Well, this gets to my other thing. Self-awareness is not enough. You can be self-aware. That doesn't change the fact that you are a human being with unconscious shit going on that's going to affect your decision-making. Like, oh, this is another topic. I'll make a PowerPoint about this, I think, and talk about it at some point, which is why I'm too smart for therapy or I'm too self-aware for therapy is a sign that you need therapy. Or not as a sign that you need therapy, but actually isn't a real thing, you know? I will talk about that at some point. I think that's a really fun topic. Because the people who say that are often people like me. like people who have spent a lot of time in an academic setting where you learn to be very like intellectual and to be very verbal and to rationalize and to put things into words and to explain things, but like explaining things and is different from actually having actual change yourself. Please, please, I beg you, my twin thinks like this. Okay, I'll put it this way. Understanding things is not the same as being able to just control how you feel about things, right? My twin legit thinks therapy won't work for her because she's also in med. That's not how that works. I mean, in the past, psychiatrists were required to see a therapist. Like, to become a psychiatrist, you have to see a therapist. And this was, like, required in the past. It's not required anymore. But it generally, within mental health, it's considered good practice. Like, you can't be a mental health provider if you are not yourself in therapy in some way. It's just, it's honestly kind of your responsibility, right? Like, this is still true for psychoanalysis training. People who do psychoanalysis, part of becoming a psychoanalyst is being psychoanalyzed. Like, that's part of how you learn to become a psychoanalyst, is you go get psychoanalyzed 5 days a week or months, and through being the patient, you learn how you learn how it feels on the other side, and that helps you become a better therapist. And not even just that, you hopefully it just works for you and it helps you become a more fully fleshed out functional human being also, you know? Thank you for following Yaimiko's Pavilion. Oh, do you play Genshin? I love Genshin. Yaimiko, my wife. I love her, even though I don't have her because I never pulled her because God hates me. The mentor needs a mentor, the therapist needs a therapist. Exactly. We all, no one just comes out of the womb fully formed knowing how to be a human being, right? So, okay, in terms of you can't, the idea of like, I'm too smart and I'm too self-aware to be to manage therapy is the same thing to me as saying like, I know why I'm hungry, therefore I should stop being hungry. That's not how that works. You know, it's like saying, I got a cut and I know that's why I'm in pain. And I also know that it's not actually debilitating that I got a cut, but therefore I should just stop feeling pain. it shouldn't bother me anymore. That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. This is the thing, is that like, you can't actually explain away emotion in the same way that you can't explain away hunger or explain away pain, like physical pain. Like, emotion is just as primal and uncontrollable in some ways as that. Those metaphors again. I know, I love metaphors. I told you I love metaphors. It's short for, oh, Yaimiko's favorite little one? Oh, your God's favorite. I do find the idea of psychiatrists having to navigate a patient's defense mechanisms to be a neat interaction. It is very cool. Because here's the thing. People think that like therapy is you go to someone and they give you advice. No. If your therapist is just, actually, I'm not going to make a blanket statement, but I will say, typically, a therapist should not be just straight up telling you what to do. You know? Like, a therapist should not be saying, you should break up with your boyfriend. They might say things like, it sounds like you are having a really hard time, or it sounds like you're very angry, or something, like reflecting what they are seeing. And then maybe you get to the point of being like, you're right, I am angry, and I'm so angry, I want to break up with them. But like, therapists typically supposed to be just like telling you to do things or not to do things, you know, or this person in your life is terrible and that person in your life is awesome. And like, I don't know these people, you know? But from my POV, they give you the tools to figure it out yourself. Exactly. Yeah. That's what they're meant to do. So, anyways, all that being said, is that there are times when, as a therapist, you might have like an answer, right? You might have an answer, like you in the same way that when you're friends with someone, let's just say like in terms of friends giving advice, how many times have you talked to a friend and they've said something like, this is what you always do, you always run away from your relationships, or I don't know, man, like it sounds like you don't really like this person or whatever, and just saying it to them. How many times have you said something to a friend in terms of how you think they feel about something, or how you think, what you think they should do, and then they go, nah, and then what you saw turns out to be true because you're a more objective third party? Telling someone something, telling someone, even if it's true, telling someone how they feel or what they think or what they want, if they don't get there themselves, it doesn't work. It doesn't help. You know? That's why like so many parents have issues with like, oh, I think my kid would be a great XYZ, or I think this person, I think you're entering this career for the wrong reasons and you shouldn't go do that. I don't think it'll make you happy. You just say that to someone, it doesn't help. Low-key, I intellectualize all my problems. It's just being logical about it and knowing why I have my problems doesn't solve them. Exactly, knowing why you have your problem solve them. In the same way that like, oh, I broke my arm because I fell off my bike. Well, that doesn't fix a broken arm. Right? I'm feeling pain because this receptor calcium something something nerves into my brain, into my spinal cord, and then crossing here. Like, that doesn't get rid of pain. And like, emotions are just as basic and physical as pain, hunger, tiredness, and the need to breathe, right? We're social animals. That's what we mean when we say we're social animals. That's why emotion can feel physical, right? Like you feel something in your body in the same way that you feel something in your body when you're hungry or tired or angry, or not angry, hungry, tired, or hurt, you know? Okay. Someone asked something about attachment issues. That is tough. That is tough in that attachment issues are often relational issues. And if you feel like you have attachment issues, it's probably a sign to get therapy. That's the sort of thing that therapy is good for. Imagine liking people enough to do this job couldn't be me. Well, I like people. I like people and I like understanding people. I think people are fascinating. I think why we do what we do is just so interesting. humans are so weird, you know? I barely understand myself most days. The first time I described my emotions to my therapist, I did so by describing my physiological response because I refused to name emotions. Intellectualizing 100. Yep. Pretty much. I feel like this is pretty classic for a lot of people who spend a lot of time in like formal academics. And I definitely, like, full disclosure, I am the same way. Like, that's why I have such strong feelings about it, because I am the kind of person who in another life would say, oh, I'm too self-aware to be therapized. Like, I have that same problem. And so because I have that same problem and I've sort of thought my way through it and felt my way through it, and I'm still dealing with it, that's why I have such strong feelings about why that's not a real thing. I'm curious though, wouldn't countertransference also be an issue? Countertransference is always an issue. But the thing is that, like, the countertransference, like, on some level, it's kind of part of the point. Like, part of what works is that you're having a therapeutic relationship with another person, and that necessitates that other person reacting to you or you reacting to that person. Does that make sense? Like, so much of this is what I love about therapy. Like, so much of it is like kind of like, ooh, because it's human relationships, you know? Transference in general. These things are always issues, right? And they can become problematic, but they are not inherently problematic. It's important to be aware of them. They can actually be pretty helpful. So, like, transference basically is, transference and countertransference are just two terms that mean similar things. One is just from patient to therapist, and the other is from therapist to patient. It's this idea of, like, the relationship or the interaction brings up some other relationship or interaction in your life, and that kind of gets your feelings about that get overlaid over your current interaction, right? So a very classic transference type thing is like, my parents, I always felt that my parents were too harsh or had too high expectations of me, or I always felt like I was disappointing my parents, right? And then the transference could be, I was late for my appointment. I bet my therapist hates me now. I bet they're angry at me. That's transference, but that's just like gonna happen, right? That's normal. And if you can catch that, both as a patient and as a therapist, it can be like, hey, you know, I remember we talked about how you always felt like you were disappointing people. How did it feel to be late today? How did it feel to cancel with no warning? And then you can be like, well, I felt like I was disappointing you. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. That's utilizing transference. Yeah, you can use it for good effect. There's a lot of therapy modalities that are like based off of using transference, right? Because the idea is, here's the idea. To the degree that we control the interactions that we have in our life, right? We can say that if person A tends to have, how do I put this? Ah, I got it. You know that thing that people say where it's like, hey, if every person that you meet is an asshole, maybe you're the asshole. Like, if you hate every single person that you meet and you think that they're terrible, maybe you're an asshole, right? So the idea is that we bring something to our interactions, and sometimes that thing can make all of the interactions end in the same bad way, right? And so the idea with transference is that you would bring, if this person who's an asshole was self-aware enough to go to therapy, maybe they'd bring it into therapy and like, oh, same thing that happens to me, everyone's an asshole. My psychiatrist is also an asshole. And if the person is in the right place or the therapist is able to catch it or whatever, you can like investigate that. You're like, okay, so what's happening here that's making you feel like everyone around you is an asshole? What's happening here that's making, in your interactions, that makes everyone end up angry at whatever. That's the idea. You know, if you're the common denominator, you're still the common denominator in the therapist's office. And that lets you sort of like lay it out, a safe space with someone who you don't actually have a personal relationship with, to see what's going on. Hi there. Hi, Happy Polak. Okay. Is it okay to worry too much? Okay. Yes, okay, so what, 2 things. It's okay to worry too much. I'm dealing with college, and I just managed to pass my first year. My family and friends had encouraged me this entire year, but I don't know why. But I get this immense feeling that I'll fail them. I get knots in my stomach when I think about it, and I fidget with my hands to busy myself. Still, I can't shake the worry that I will somehow disappoint them. Ugh. This is common. I feel like I hear this a lot. I feel like I was this person, honestly, in college. So for one thing, worry is normal. It's not... Worry is normal, but when you say much, I imagine you mean that the amount of worrying is getting in the way of you leading a happy, functional life. In which case, decreasing your level of worry might be worth it. It sounds like you are afraid of disappointing them. How do I put this? It seems like this worry about disappointing someone, that's normal, and that's gonna be there even if you succeed. Right? So the way to deal with this feeling is not to try to run away from it by succeeding. Like, gold medalists at the Olympics also have a fear of failure and disappointment, right? Like, there's no level of achievement that in and of itself will resolve this feeling. You have to, like, think about it and go to therapy and, like, think about why. What are you afraid of? What do you think will happen if you do disappoint? Because the reality is you probably will. Because no one's perfect. You're going to. We disappoint the people around us all the time. I don't know that I would trust a relationship that I have with anyone if I only felt positive things about them. Are worried if you disappoint them. Ah, this is a great example, big dog. Supermodels have days where they think other people are ugly. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna use your example. Supermodels worry. Supermodels worry about being ugly. But more makeup, clothes, exercise, plastic wouldn't solve that work. Or I guess this. Or I guess reality is that we are all humans that are inherent. Flawed. Ill. Mess up. Point around us. Hopefully. Around us event. Seems like that's what's scary me. Good thing. Talk to. What I would say. Okay. Streamer calls viewers flawed more at 11. I mean, we're all flawed. I feel like that's the beauty of human relationships. You know they're flawed and you know they've made mistakes before, but we still stick with them because we accept that. As I feel like this is we are, I think, all painfully aware that we will mess up and we will hurt people and whatever, right? And sometimes the drive to like, oh, I'm gonna never disappoint people is that it's trying to avoid the reality that at some point you will disappoint someone. What might they do? You will. Like, the big thing that I have realized is that reassurance is a band-aid. Reassurance is a band-aid. It can help, doesn't solve problems most of the time. Like, I have always had really bad social anxiety. And I would always say to people, like, what if everyone hates me? And people saying back the truth, which is like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would everybody hate you? Or, like, was never helpful, right? It'd be like, I think this teacher hates me. I think that teacher hates me. I think this person hates me. And like, most of the time I probably was wrong. And people were probably right when they said, like, Lev, I don't think that person hates you. But that didn't help long term. What did help was someone telling me, okay, what if they do hate you? Are you expecting that every single person that you meet for the rest of your life likes you, and that if any one of them hates you, that you just are a terrible person? Like, is that a realistic expectation to have of yourself? And I was like, that's true. Yeah. No, people are gonna dislike me or hate me or think I'm stupid. It's gonna happen. It would be really weird if that never happened. We have to expose ourselves to risk in order to improve as people. Yes. We need to play life with reasonable gotcha risks. Yes. Someone has drawn a summoning circle. What are the 5 items required for a successful summon? But they do hate you. We are collecting quotes here. Stop. Wow. I'm like the least motivational speaker. I'm like, you guys are flawed, and there are people in the world who hate you. This is true though. The sooner you can accept that, the sooner you can live a happy life. You don't need everyone in the world to love you, and you don't need to be a flawless person to be happy. Okay. But let's see. Karaoke. 5 items required for successful summon. Karaoke. My husband. What else? No. What else? A schedule that allows for frequent naps and AO3. A closet to record in. Oh my gosh. I already have that though. Real. Let people be wrong about you. Keep being you. Exactly. Give up. That's not what I'm saying. From a professional standpoint, how he diagnosed me, I constantly feel the urge to smack my boss across the face whenever I walk past him. You know, I don't think that's in It's in the DSM-5. As a professional, I cannot make a diagnosis over the internet. As a random internet person, that sounds concerning. Sounds concerning. Seriously. Yeah, how would you diagnose if I were to sleep from November, December to April, May straight without breaks? Yeah, no. That's concerning. I'm worried about you. Makes me experience worry. Please. Worry in the sense that you additional help and support, possibly of the professional kind. Real, I want to be in a coma sometimes. That's not good. Right? Like, so if you could think about it like this, like, so much of our experience as human beings is that we have a strong drive to avoid death, right? And sleep is analogous to mini death sometimes, right? There's a reason that, like, there's a reason that sleep and death are closely related to each other in mythology, in books, right? So when you want to avoid your life, that's usually a sign that there's something not going well with life or your experience of your life. And that's sad, and I don't think that you should have to endure that. And I think that everyone deserves to feel like happy, active members of their own life. Don't feel that way. That's what like my feed's here for. No? Is it related to anxiety if I have a problem saying the point that it worked? I personally just like possibly there's lots of reasons why people have issues saying no or boundaries. Usually it's something about of saying no or saying it makes you also then so do you ever, that's my question, would, if, like, this makes me wonder, especially when they're saying I personally just like being helpful. This makes me wonder if, like, what happens if you aren't helpful? Because you can't help everyone. Happens if you aren't helpful? Okay. I'm scared to ask anything, even if I know it's anonymous. Why am I scared? I don't know. Not enough information. Maybe it's because, you know, I am psychic. I see you. There we go. Yeah. Know what you're doing. I know what you're thinking. You sick man. There we go. Someone on IG legit woke me up when they said, to the people pleasers out there, who are you actually pleasing? Oh, exactly. It's not selfish. Like physically, as a single, you are one single. You do not have the power to make everyone in the world happy. From that last question, my thought would be, where is the line between needing to be helped? No, that's a good point. I think you're right. Oh. Refresh this. Oh my god. Wow. Pineapple on pizza. Also crunchy PB or no? This. Ooh, okay. These are tough questions. I will get back to these. I'm going to quickly answer Spectral's question. How often is amantadine used to off-label to treat ADHD symptoms? Okay, so for context, the typical first-line treatment for ADHD is like a straight-up stimulant, like methylphenidate or methamphetamine. Amphetamines, generally. So, as you can imagine, there's lots of reasons why you maybe don't want to give someone a, like, stimulants can raise your blood pressure, raise your heart rate, lead to other issues. They can also worsen anxiety. Maybe someone doesn't want to take because they just don't want to take stimulants. Maybe someone has a stimulant use disorder and because of that they don't want to take. Oh, this is the other, like, just random aside. There is research showing that treating ADHD with stimulants lowers the likelihood that someone with ADHD starts to abuse stimulants, because that's something that, as you can imagine, can happen, right? Like, someone could discover on their own that some of what's difficult for them in life is easier if they take meth. Unfortunately, doing that on your own is not usually a good idea. So, as you can imagine, some people have substance use issues. So, lots of reasons why people don't want to use stimulants. What do you do with non-stimulants? Amantadine is like a big. So, for anyone where you maybe don't want to use stimulant medications, it can be worth trying amantadine. See kids on it. See people with other, like, other medical morbidities on it, like they have blood pressure, other meds going. This is purely anecdotal, and what I've been told by people who work around is that often it's like it works or it doesn't, but it does work. So depends on the doctor. I have seen some people who's it's a good daily medication. ADHD that is not as good, which is typically lots of reasons. On a stimulant. Yeah, my word is dying. there's lots of reasons someone may not want to be on a stimulant, or a doctor may not want to start those cases. Antidine propion is also an option. So an option as are things like seeing. Frequency, doctor read more. Frequent, but it's common. Like it's definitely common. I've seen it a lot. I will say there are some people. There are definitely some who feel that it's always worth just trying amantadine because they feel like the side effects and comorbidity issues with stimulants are not worth it. Oh, and the other nice thing about amantadine is that I don't think it's a controlled substance in the same way stimulants are, so you have a lot less of the, you only get a 30-day supply, and then you can only refill it within like 2 to 3 days of when your last prescription runs out. So like it requires a pretty significant like organizational capability to manage being on stimulants, which, as you can imagine, is hard for people who have ADHD. Did ask my psychiatrist. Stimulants are hard to come by. It'll be worth asking, yeah. Okay. Wow. Speaking of, I need to go be a psychiatrist. I need to work. I need to work for a living. I'm curious, are meds only prescribed when a patient is diagnosed, or can they be prescribed to manage symptoms before a diagnosis? Yeah. No, meds are used to treat symptoms all the time. So this is the other thing about psychiatric diagnosis, is that a lot of our diagnoses are like, you kind of need time, observation. Like, there's definitely some some situations out there where you see a person and you're like, okay, something is wrong. I'm actually not sure what exactly it is. It probably will take some more time to figure it out. Regardless, you're suffering, and I think it's most likely XYZ, or the 3 things I'm considering all are treated by the same thing, so let's try that. Like, people without a full diagnosis all the time. Oh, because I have meds with no diagnosis officially? Yeah, they probably have. I would guess whoever has you on meds has a guess as to what they think might be going on, but it might not be enough for like. All right, that's my alarm. Okay. Let's raid my daughter, Stefa. She's, oh my god, she's editing. Wow, she's so cool. I wish I knew how to edit things. Job. Now that explains where "they do hate you" comes from. I mean, yeah, you never know. People hate people. Go work. Always good time drop. Your 11 chat. Yeah, no, I'm very happy. I need to finish this. Answering questions. So many questions. I need to answer them all. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for the Q&A. Always. I'm gonna try to do this because I think this is actually very fun for me. I have not yet run out of questions, so keep asking them. Become Soup Raid. Yes, we are Become Soup Raid. Send us to Sniffa and have a good day. I'll send out the signed prints to any winners ASAP. Yeah, we did a giveaway. Signed prints? Actually, recently, February. But those of you who won the giveaway, you know who you are. My manager sending them to you. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. And wait, what was I going to say? Yeah. They will be mailed to you, and other signed stuff that might be raffled off or in a way soon. So keep an eye out. Okay. So enjoy your time with Eva.